side of the trail, we have the deciduous hardwood forest, and then other side of the trail, mostly the old growth forest, the evergreens or conifers. And so basically right here, this is where in 1893, Holly and Hanson Company, they're cutting, they get to here, and there's a nationwide recession, so they stop cutting, and all that's left behind here is about an 85-acre patch that they did not get to, they didn't cut. So when the economy gets better, in 1896, they come back to resume their operation, but again, all that's right here, 85 acres. That is a drop in the bucket. These logging camps cut thousands of acres. You know, they're here to make big, big money, so it's not worth it. They would have had to relay their railroad track, rebuild their camps, all for just 85 acres. So they leave it untouched. They build a new camp, I don't know, about a mile-ish that way, and over there, they're cutting 8,000 acres. And you can still see those stumps, not right now, but in the summer, if you leave the park, head north on 75, both on the right-hand side and in the median, you can see white pine stumps, and that is from that 1896 operation. So, fast forward many years, in the 1920s, a lady named Karen Hartwick, she is from Grayling, and she is looking for a way to honor her husband Edward, who passed away during World War I. From spinal meningitis. He was in France. So they both grew up in Grayling. Karen's father is one of the partners of the Solly and Hanson Logging Company. His name is Nels Mickelson. And so Karen grew up, she knew about this place. If you lived in Grayling at that time, this is the only place with trees, right? All the other trees are cut down. So if it's a hot summer day and you want a shady picnic, you come here. And way before this was a state park, still owned by the logging company, all the locals came here. They called it Hanson Pines. And so Karen, she ends up buying just over 8,000 acres. She paid for this property with her own money in today's dollars. And she deeds it to the state to be a state park, to be a memorial to her husband, Edward Hartwick. And she put a few things in the deed that the state had to do. We had to build a road so people could get here, which you all enjoyed today as you drove here. We had to build a logging museum, which is where we're going to end our hike. We had to build a memorial building. So not only is the whole park a memorial, but we also have a physical structure that is a memorial to Edward. And of course, we can't cut the trees. So we do not do that. Of course, if there's a hazardous tree, which Craig will talk about in a bit, we do cut those. Or if something falls across the trail, we get that out of the way. But otherwise, we do not cut the trees. And that is how, kind of in a nutshell, this place came to be.
We're going to see the effects So, once again, characteristics. So you see where all those beige leaves are? Those are beech trees. So beech is in the same family as oak, Fagaceae. There's no test, you don't have to remember that. But anyway, it just makes me sound smart. I know some Latin. But they hold on to their leaves in the wintertime, so you can see it. Versus a maple tree, like this one right here, there's no leaves on that. But they keep those leaves. And now that whole area is what we call that canopy gap. So trees have come down, sunlight comes down, and now you've got this micro habitat inside of the old growth forest itself. And because this is the last of its kind in Michigan, it's very unique, and so certain animals will come to this area based on the fact that this is the habitat that they want to be. Instinctively, all right, I need food, water, shelter, space, right? Well, rabbits don't do well, and you can't really visualize it, but in the spring and summertime, there's no snow. There's a great distance between this trunk and that trunk, and they're exposed to raptors or owls or anything else that want to eat rabbits. However, in that area where there's a lot of sunlight, now you have regenerating species like raspberries and other plants that are sun-loving versus the shade-tolerant plants that are growing here. So now we've got a small little population of eastern cottontails and snowshoe hares that would come to this area versus this area. And same thing with birds, right? There's a bird that we have here at Michigan called the ovenbird, and it's in the thrush family. And it doesn't say this, it's called what's mnemonic phrasing, but it goes teacher, 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 right? Well, it nests in the hardwood forest because it makes a nest underneath leaves that looks like an oven, hence the name ovenbird. Well, these are needles, so it can't make a nest down here, but it eats the insects that like conifer trees. So it finds the food here, but it nests up by where we first started, at that first stop by the stairs. So the habitat intermingles. It's all about forest types, right? Different types of forest offer different kinds of things, different animals.
I thought you were joking about having dead animals.
No, you got dead animals. I was the greatest uncle when the nephews were growing up. They're like, Uncle Moose, do you have any dead animals? You know. So these are the same animal, but different phases, right? So this is a short-tailed weasel or a long-tailed weasel. What's the difference between a long-tailed weasel and a short-tailed weasel? It's tail, yeah. Right. And then there's a least weasel. All three of those are about the same size with different lengths of tail. This is its summer coat, brown, blends in, walking through a forest, bounding around looking for rodents to eat, second graders, things like that. During the wintertime, it turns white. So when it's on the ground, you can't see it, except for that black tip of its tail, right? And so as it's bounding along the snow, an owl says, oh, I'm gonna get some food. And by the time it gets down and goes for the tail, the only thing it can see, it goes on. So that's cool. However, with climate change that's happening, warmer temperatures, more precipitation, it's happening. Scientists say that we're gonna get more rain in the wintertime in the future, 20 years from now, than we are snow, because it's gonna be warmer, a couple degrees warmer. Granted, we're gonna have our cold spells, that's never gonna end. But if we get that February thaw that we usually get every year, then there's no snow. This animal's white, walking through the background or the forest floor of brown, population will go down. Same thing in September. We get early snow, it's still brown. Now the population is gonna be affected because it's gonna go on that white background or brown cover, but brown still. So